Did you know that even though the United States is a very progressive country full of amazing places, some cities still have big problems? Yes, it's true. Today, we're going to explore the darker sides of some of these cities and find out what makes them challenging places to live. Let's take a look at the 10 worst places in the US. Number 10. St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri is a city that often appears in the news because it has one of the highest rates of crime in the United States. This means that things like stealing, fighting, and other harmful actions happen more often there compared to many other places. The city is especially known for violent crimes. Violent crimes are very serious and include actions where people hurt others, like shootings and assaults. Despite these problems, St. Louis is also known for some really good things. It has beautiful parks, interesting museums, and a lot of history. For example, it's famous for the Gateway Arch, a huge monument that looks like a giant doorway and symbolizes the city as a gateway to the West. People in St. Louis are working hard to make the city a safer and better place for everyone who lives there. They want to reduce crime and make sure that everyone can enjoy what the city has to offer. Number 9. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan is a big city with some tough problems. For many years, Detroit was known for making cars, and lots of people worked in factories. But as times changed, fewer cars were made in Detroit, and many people lost their jobs. This caused a lot of people to move away from the city to find work elsewhere, which means fewer people live there now than before. Because there are fewer jobs, many people in Detroit don't have much money, which can lead to more crime. Crime means things like stealing and sometimes people hurting each other, which can make living in Detroit scary for some people. The city also struggles because it doesn't have as much money to help fix these problems. Even though Detroit has these issues, it's a city with a rich history and many people who are trying to make it better. Number 8. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis faces significant challenges that make it one of the less desirable places in the US. According to 2023 data, Memphis had a high crime rate, with notable issues in both violent and property crimes. The city reported 397 homicides last year, indicating a significant problem with violent crime. This is part of why Memphis is often mentioned as one of the worst places in the US. The high crime rates in Memphis affect the city's reputation and quality of life. For instance, the likelihood of becoming a victim of violent or property crime in Memphis is quite high compared to other cities. Violent crimes include serious offenses like murder, aggravated assault, and robbery, and the city has high rates of these incidents. This contributes to a general feeling of insecurity among residents and visitors. Memphis's economic challenges also play a role in its difficulties. High crime rates can deter business investments and tourism, which are crucial for the city's economic health. Despite these issues, it's important to recognize that Memphis also has rich cultural landmarks and a significant historical impact on music, which adds a positive aspect to its community identity. Number 7. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore is often listed as one of the worst places in the US because it has serious problems with violent crime and many people living in poverty. Even though Baltimore has some great hospitals and schools, these issues make life very hard for many of its residents. In 2022, Baltimore reported a high number of violent crime cases. Specifically, there were 332 homicides in the city. This high number is one reason why people say Baltimore is a tough place to live. The crime makes it unsafe in many areas, which can scare families and businesses away. The reason Baltimore faces these challenges is complicated. The city has struggled with poverty for a long time, which means many people don't have enough money for basic needs like food and a safe place to live. This kind of stress can lead to more crime. Also, there have been problems with how the city is managed and how laws are enforced, which can make things worse. Number 6. Flint, Michigan. Flint is known for some big problems that make it one of the tougher places to live in the United States. One of the biggest issues started in 2014, when the city changed its water source to save money, but it led to a huge water crisis. This new water was not treated properly, and it caused lead, a very harmful metal, to get into the water people were drinking. This made many people, including kids, very sick. Because of this water problem and other issues, Flint has faced many economic challenges. This means a lot of people in Flint don't have good jobs, and it's hard for them to make enough money to have a comfortable life. Also, the city has problems with its health services, which makes it hard for everyone to get the care they need. In the last year, Flint reported several problems related to these issues. For example, crime and health issues are still higher than many other places in the country, which makes life tough for the people living there. Before proceeding further, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon so you would get notified when we upload the next video. Number 5. Camden, New Jersey. Camden is often considered one of the worst places in the US due to its high crime rates and economic difficulties. In 2023, Camden reported a total of 3,103 crimes, including 1,126 violent crimes and 1,977 property crimes. This crime rate is much higher than both the state and national averages, which contributes to its reputation. Specifically, Camden's violent crime rate is significantly higher than the national median, and the city also has one of the highest rates of motor vehicle theft in the country. The city's struggles with crime and poverty have made it challenging for residents and have hindered efforts towards revitalization. Despite efforts to improve the situation, Camden still faces significant challenges, which makes it stand out in national rankings of cities with difficult living conditions. Number 4. San Bernardino, California. San Bernardino has some big problems that make life tough for the people who live there. First off, the city doesn't have enough money, which is called bankruptcy. This means they can't pay for everything they need, like fixing roads or hiring enough police officers. Because of this, there's a lot of poverty, which means many people don't have enough money to live well. And where there's poverty, there's often crime. Crime means bad things happening, like stealing or hurting people. Last year, there were a lot of reports of crimes in San Bernardino. All of these problems make San Bernardino one of the worst places in the United States. It's hard for people to feel safe and happy when there's not enough money, lots of poverty, and too much crime. People want to live in places where they can have good jobs, feel safe, and have nice things to do. But in San Bernardino, these things are really tough to come by, which is why it's considered one of the worst places to live in the whole country. Number 3. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is famous for its lively music and delicious food. However, it faces some serious problems that make it a tough place for many of its residents. One of the biggest issues in New Orleans is crime. The city has a high crime rate, which means that more crimes happen here than in many other places. Last year, New Orleans reported about 280 murders, which is a very high number compared to many other cities in the US. This makes people feel unsafe and worried about their safety. Poverty is another big problem in New Orleans. Many people don't have enough money to meet their basic needs, like food, housing, and healthcare. This makes life very hard for them and limits their opportunities to improve their living conditions. New Orleans also still feels the effects of Hurricane Katrina, a huge storm that hit the city in 2005. Many homes and areas were destroyed, and even years later, parts of the city are still recovering. This makes it hard for the city to fix its other problems like crime and poverty. Number 2. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland is a city that has faced many tough challenges. In the past, Cleveland was famous for making many things in its factories, like cars and steel. But over time, many of these factories closed down or moved away, which meant fewer jobs for the people living there. This problem is called an economic challenge because it affects how much money people can earn and how they live. One of the biggest problems in Cleveland now is crime. Some areas of the city have high rates of crime, which means that things like stealing and fighting happen more often there than in other places. Last year, Cleveland reported about 5,258 cases of violent crimes. This includes serious crimes like shootings and assaults. Because of these issues with jobs and crime, Cleveland is often listed as one of the worst places to live in the US. Even though there are still good parts of Cleveland and many people who love their city, these big problems make life harder for many of its residents. Number 1. Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham is often considered one of the tougher places to live in the United States because it has several big problems. Firstly, it has a very high crime rate. In 2023, there were many crimes reported in the city, including thefts, assaults, and more serious crimes like shootings. Unfortunately, these numbers are higher than in many other cities in America. Secondly, Birmingham faces economic difficulties. This means that a lot of people there don't have jobs that pay well, and it can be hard for them to find good work. This lack of good jobs makes it tough for families to earn enough money to take care of their needs, like buying food and paying for their homes. On top of these issues, Birmingham also struggles with health problems and schools that don't have enough resources. Not everyone can get the medical care they need, and many schools don't have the latest books or enough teachers. This makes it hard for kids to learn everything they should be learning at school. Thanks for watching. Remember, every city has its challenges, but also its strengths and opportunities for improvement. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts or any questions you might have. See you in the next video.